Good morning, I'm Scott Nelson of WGTD, and on today's episode of the Fab Lab 10 a.m. show, it's October, and it's pumpkin season. So John, Steve, let's talk some pumpkins.
Woohoo! Pumpkins. I love October. And of course October's Halloween, and the Fab Lab tradition is to do pumpkin carving in the Fab Lab. So today we have with us, I am so psyched, we have Amy Smith from Jerry Smith Pumpkins Farm. Say hello, Amy.
Hi, everyone.
And then we also have today with us my fellow coordinator, Adam Reed. Adam, say hi to everyone.
Hello, everybody.
And of course...
And Steve, over here.
All right. So I'm going to start this out by saying, when I was in college, Halloween came. I've carved a pumpkin every year of my life, right? So I go out to Jerry Smith Pumpkins Farm. And now this is going to be mid-'80s, Amy. So I went out there. There was fields of pumpkins. I was very impressed. It was like an early Saturday morning. We're wandering around. And I'm like, okay, got a cool pumpkin. Go up, pay for it at the stand. Well, last year we did some collaborative stuff. Amy was a part of our 10th anniversary party that we had at the lab. But I went out for it was the Sweet Corn Festival, right?
Correct.
Where we brought the truck out, the Fab Lab truck, so we can show people all cool Fab Lab things. And the place was huge. I mean, it was like a festival park. It was 10 times what I remembered it being. So tell us a little bit about the farm itself. Where did it come from? Where did it start? How has it evolved?
Well, back in 1975, Jerry and Rosemary started selling vegetables on the corner of 18th Street and EA. And then from there, it went to their garage. And then from the garage, Rosemary built a big country store. And then one year, someone gave them some props, and she started painting faces on pumpkins. And then she took her kids' clothes and Jerry's boots and Jerry's shirts and dressed all these characters up. And then it just grew from there. They started with a petting zoo. They did tractor rides, and it's just continued to grow. In 2012, Joe and I approached Jerry and purchased the farm from him. And then we've added Babies on the Farm in June, Chalk Fest in July, Sweet Corn Fest in August, and then the pumpkin season starts the second weekend in September, running through Halloween.
Wow, you guys are a force in the region, I have to say. And going out there, and this is just me, my favorite thing out there is the old Scooby-Doo van. I didn't see it the last time I drove by because my daughter and I were all about Scooby-Doo. They had a mystery machine out there.
Yeah, that was a roadside free candy van that my husband picked up, and we asked one of the local body shops to paint it up like that. It's there.
Cool. Now we're going to dissect pumpkin. Let's talk pumpkin, because the Fab Lab's all about fabrication. So Amy is responsible for making these pumpkins, and then we're responsible for taking them back apart. So we're going to reverse engineer pumpkin now. Some of the cool things about pumpkin, I mean, I'm going to throw this out there for everybody. And what can you do with a pumpkin? So let's start with Steve. Steve, how about you? What do you think?
My favorite one is pumpkin soup.
Ooh, we got a couple pumpkins on our porch that accidentally grew that we're looking at turning into a soup.
An accidental pumpkin.
Yeah. And that's what's really cool about our culinary program at Gateway, because that whole aspect of how to develop pumpkin soups and other types of soups, they're really good at that. And that's where having that, yes, the seeds are great, the carving the pumpkin's great, but actually using them for something more than just pumpkin pie. And that's what's really cool, all the different varieties you have.
Yeah, diving into that, you mentioned seeds. So every year we do a pumpkin carving event, and we bring home all of the seeds. So I bring them back, and probably brought back several gallons, almost like a trash bag full of cooked pumpkin seeds. And we tried them every different way, spicy with chocolate added. I think just a little sea salt's still my favorite.
Nice. And you were saying you make them sometimes in the air fryer? Air fryers make it a lot easier.
So I have an air fryer with a little rotisserie basket, and I can just toss those in there, set it, forget it, and just let it roll around making those seeds.
Nice.
So talk that up any day.
All right, Amy, how about you? What do you like doing with pumpkins? I mean, there's amazing food out at Jerry Smith Pumpkin Farm, I got to say. You go in the shop, there's all this really cool produce. all these really great things. And Amy also helped us by bringing food out to our party that we had last year. So how about you?
So we grow about 70 different varieties of pumpkins, gourds, squash. But I have a fun fact for you guys. So did you ever look at the can of like a Libby pumpkin pie filling? Most of it is squash. Like, it's not like pumpkin, because pumpkin is super watery. So they use like a jar, how did we say this? A Jardale squash. They use blue doll. They're all different squash because they're more dense. So, yeah, we do all kinds of stuff. We decorate with them. We paint on them. Obviously, you can cook with them. Mostly we decorate with them. I don't have time to cook a pumpkin in October. I'm sorry.
Okay, now I actually did. I was at the supermarket the other day, and this is perfect for all you radio listeners, right? I am now holding up a picture on my phone of all these different pumpkins because I'm looking at green ones. Some are green and yellow. They have like these funny dots on them sometimes. There's pale green ones that look like they're covered with dust. 70 different species? That's crazy. How many of them can you name?
I could name 3: a turban, a jack-o'-lantern, a peanut, and a Jardale, and a blue doll. So 4 or 5.
Nice.
That's
Yeah,
pretty
there
good.
you
That
go.
was better than I thought. I thought you were going to say, I can't name any of these things.
That's usually my husband, Joe, and Nick. They do all the planting.
What are the giant pumpkins that I see? Are those a different breed of pumpkin, or?
Yeah, I got the answer to that. That is called a monster smash. And they range from 25 to over 100 pounds.
Wow.
So
Wow.
we grow, I want to say they said we grow 20 acres of them. No, I'm sorry, 5. Because total we grow 125 acres of pumpkins. And their skin, their flesh is a little bit softer. So where we grow them, the deer like to eat them. So if we get like 100, we're lucky because they're real soft. So they can just like put their hoof in there and they're sweet, super sweet.
So is it all the same in the inside of the giant monster pumpkins as opposed to the little ones?
Yeah, the meat is the same, like yellowy, orangish, but the seeds are huge. They're like bigger than a silver dollar.
Whoa. So are monster smash pumpkins a good deflection technique so that you get the deer eating those and they stay away from the pumpkins you actually want to hang on to?
No.
No.
I really love those pumpkins. They're beautiful. They last, and people love them because, they want to cut circles in them if they have little babies, put their kids in them, and take lots of pictures and stuff.
So what was the biggest monster smash pumpkin you've pulled off so far?
Oh, let's just say 130 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's like, we don't load them anymore. So if people want to buy them, we have the wheelbarrow, but they have to get it to the counter.
And it ends up looking like a big beanbag chair, right?
Yeah, it's
Kinda
big.
like because of
Yeah.
the weight of the pumpkin.
Some of those places, they end up making boats out of them pumpkins and racing them.
What?
It's further north in Wisconsin. I don't remember exactly where,
Oh,
but
we
they
gotta
do
try
have a giant pumpkin boat race. And they get in, hollow it out, get in it, and then pedal across a lake.
Oh, see, now this is what I love about this program is in the Fab Lab, one of the things that we really try to do is just connect the things you don't really think connect. And that's what we're really good at. Now, if you're interested in learning more about the Fab Lab, you can email us. We are at fablab@gtc.edu.
What was that email?
I'm glad you asked, Steve. That was fablab@gtc.edu. We also have a page online. All gateway domains are gtc.edu, and then you put put Fab Lab. You can also just go online and search Gateway Industrial Design Fab Lab, and you'll be able to find us.
Now I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of the pumpkins, how hard is it to grow a pumpkin? Because we have a horticultural program and everything that's been on the radio station already. How hard is it for an individual to grow a pumpkin plant and have it actually develop and everything?
I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty sure, like, you can grow that, right? But you also need the elements. You need water. You need fertilizer. A lot of, some people grow a garden and they throw their pumpkins out and then they get a pumpkin, right? Sure, you can grow a pumpkin, but there's so many other factors. For us, because we grow like 125 acres, a lot of pests, a lot of bugs get in them. You get aphids, you get beetles. So my husband, Joe, has worked with the University of Illinois to develop a really, really... they've worked together to create a spray program that Our pumpkins are phenomenal. Like the stems, a lot of times if they aren't getting the right nutrients, they aren't getting the right fertilizer or pesticide control or whatever, the stems will break off. And then no one wants to buy that pumpkin with no stem. And then they rot because the bugs, it's a raw flesh, and then the bugs eat that because it's sweet and it smells good. So our pumpkins are super healthy. The stems are nice and strong. I mean, that's really an important thing.
This is going to sound kind of like a dumb question. How do you grow a pumpkin? Is it with a pumpkin seed that's in the pumpkin? You just plant the seed in the ground?
You can.
Okay. All right.
It's like tomatoes. If you throw your tomatoes out in the garden, you get random tomato plants.
Yeah.
But
All
like
right.
the tomato plants somewhat go up and bush out. How wide does the pumpkin plant? I mean, 125 acres, that's a lot of space.
It's a lot of space. I want to say they spread out about 4 feet. So when you go to harvest them, first when you harvest, you have to cut them all. And then you push them in a row. You are running over stuff.
The pumpkin itself, on one plant, do you expect one pumpkin, or is there multiple pumpkins on
Oh, no,
one
there's
plant?
multiple. It's great. And this year, when we planted pumpkins, we were in the drought. So like every day my husband would go scratch the dirt because you want them to sprout within 7 days. And we're hitting like a week, 2 weeks, and nothing's sprouting.
So scratch the dirt to make it easier for them to
Nope,
sprout?
just to check the seed to see if the seed is sprouted.
Okay.
So those heavy morning dews were enough to put moisture in the ground to make them to sprout. He was pretty scared that we weren't going to have any because you need
Amazing.
moisture and heat and sun and all of that.
Now this year we had some accidental pumpkin grow on our front step that I think a squirrel got into a pumpkin that we had out and planted itself there and ended up growing. But we ended up having to go through and manually pollinate each one of our female flowers, and it seemed like there was barely any female flowers, but it was just loaded with males. Do you have to do any of hand pollination, or you just have enough bees to cover all of that for you?
So that's a great question. So the last 4 years, we partnered with a couple that raises bees. So we own 33 hives, and we place them in all of our fields. And the production population of the pumpkins has been amazing. So it's very important for that.
Now, in terms of the bee production and the honey that's generated from that, does the honey taste different than normal clover honey if it's eating around a pumpkin farm?
Honestly, I only eat our honey. So people love our honey because it's raw. They harvest it, they spin it, and they put it right in jars. We can't keep our honey on our shelf. We're out right now because they're just harvesting, but we've sold all of last year's honey. People love it. I can't tell a difference, but I drink coffee with cream. I'm not a tea drinker.
We won't hold that against you, right? All right,
Yeah.
now I want to change directions a little bit here. One of the things I was really impressed with Jerry Smith Pumpkin Farm was your social media presence. I mean, you have amazing amounts of followers on social media. So talk to me a little bit about that. How did that happen? How did you guys, and what is it? It's like, how many followers do you have in your email?
I don't know, 30,000,
30,000.
40,000.
I mean, that's crazy.
We were introduced to Dooley and Associates probably 5 years. It's a marketing firm in Kenosha, and we were doing the normal, cute little videos and that kind of thing. And they're like, just give it a shot. So they really help us with all our social media and our marketing, and we rebranded. So it's Jerry Smith Farm, and then it's Jerry Smith Green Acres, Jerry Smith Feed and Seed, because so many people didn't know that we were Green Acres, that we were the feed and seed station. So they helped us with that, and really for us, it's videos. I mean, people love the quirky, funny, weird sense of humor I have, and they love to see Joe on the tractor. They like to see our guys planting and working, and just imagine most of these people are city people that, to drive a tractor, maybe never, and to have more than a quarter acre, never. So they love to see that, a field of pickles or a field of pumpkins, or it makes them feel like family and they're part of the farm. And that's what we try to do. We try to say, hey, if you're coming You're part of the Jerry Smith family.
Nice. And if I'm interested in learning more about Jerry Smith Pumpkin Farms, you want to, is there a website I go to? Do you have a...
Sure. JerrySmithFarm.com. Private message us, stalk our photos, give me some ideas, shout out a request. I mean, we just received a great award from the Shriners. They chose us as Business of the Year. The state of Wisconsin gave a proclamation to us that this is Agritourism Week. So Jerry Smith's Farm, they're encouraging everyone to come visit Jerry Smith Farm for agritourism, and it's this whole week in the state of Wisconsin.
Wow.
So that's
Cool.
exciting.
So do you have a storefront that people can go to buy? Do you sell like fresh produce?
Dude, we do.
Awesome.
We open in June.
Awesome. Where is it?
7150 18th Street, Kenosha, Wisconsin. 53144 if you want to send us a message.
That's excellent.
Okay, so the first year when I got to Gateway, I'm like, all right, I'm all obsessed with pumpkins. I walk into the Fab Lab and I'm seeing 3D printers and laser engravers, and I'm like, there's got to be a way. So we decided a pumpkin event. Why not, right? First year, I think we had maybe 8 people stop in, which, I thought, oh, that's not too bad, right? We gave some pizza, we played around, we tried cramming a pumpkin onto the laser, which we've gotten much better at, by the way. And the laser makes it smell really good. But once Adam got there, he started taking us in a different direction. And Adam, tell him about how you developed 3D printing for pumpkins on pumpkin decorating.
Well, that was an easy way that we could dive into decorating the pumpkin without making it too big of a mess. So previous years we had people carving and then we had guts everywhere. I didn't complain. I brought them seeds home. Then we had people painting, and next thing you know, I'm cleaning up paint everywhere. So I wanted to make it a little easier. So we decided to use the 3D printers to print out different pieces similar to Mr. Potato Head, but for pumpkins. So we call it the Mr. Pumpkin Head. I've got noses, eyes, all of those different things that have little spikes, and you can just shove it right into your pumpkin.
Yeah, the kids love it too, and I think we have many bags of many different... It seems like every year we design a few more facial features for our pumpkins.
I've got, actually, like you said, I've got a bag of ears, a bag of noses. It's kind of funny. We hold on to them, try to use them up, but we'll add extras to the mix and teach people how to design their own. So if they're going to 3D print something they want to put on their pumpkin, they can make that themselves.
Yeah, I did Minion goggles a couple years ago, so it was like, a little circular, but there was a little globe of an eye on it, and, you could turn them into welding goggles or different types of things that you could stick on your pumpkin. Now, last year, for the first time, I attempted to CNC carve. I'd seen YouTube videos of them using robots, where the robot's like holding a Dremel tool or holding a knife, and then they plot out the points on the face, and it plunges in and carves the pumpkin. And we're trying to get to that point where the kids can just draw the face and then we can throw it on the CNC machine and carve it. And last year we were able to load a pumpkin on the end of our CNC machine and do some carving. And that was kind of fun. I hope to expand upon that last year. Listeners, please, the last Thursday before Halloween, we always set aside for our pumpkin party. And I believe it's the 26th this year. 4 o'clock, come on out. We want to see you there. Bring your kids. Bring a pumpkin.
Come on, where, John?
Oh.
Come on out where?
So the S.C. Johnson IMET Center is where the Fab Lab is located, for those of you who are unfamiliar with that. It's on Renaissance Boulevard in Sturtevant, Wisconsin, and we're at 2320. We're easy to spot because as you drive down that little stretch of road, we're the building that has the water tower in its parking lot. So, Amy, you going to be coming out this year again?
Sure. I would love to.
Awesome.
I would love to.
Another really fun thing that we do, John touched on for a moment, was lasers on the pumpkin. So we can laser directly on the pumpkin, but we're not cutting it because it's too wet, so you can't cut it with a laser. So what I've done is draw what I want to carve directly on the pumpkin. So you put it in the laser, draw out the outlines of what it is, and then you can take it out with your carving tools and carve away perfect lines.
Yeah, and carving can be really elaborate. I know there's contests that are held, and it's amazing. I've seen people do techniques where they peel away the skin, and then they come in like they're going to do a relief carving. Or if you're leaving certain sections of your skin, depending on how you're going to illuminate, and I guess technically I need to call it a jack-o'-lantern once it's carved, right? So there are different ways you can utilize the shading of whatever light source you're going to stick inside your pumpkin. I think the first year we tried pumpkins on the laser, we just tried engraving it. And if you're not familiar with laser, It's a super hot and very fine point. So you can raster areas where it moves back and forth and kind of shades in, or you can run a vector line, which will just draw a line on it. But the lines are very fine, and I think it took us a little while to figure out we could put it on. We have a rotary tool, so we can actually put a couple of ends on the pumpkin and set it in a tool that rotates the pumpkin as it's carved. And one of the things I've also discovered is you can intentionally set a laser out of focus, and then it tends to darken really well. So we're able to sometimes get a really nice deep black on a pumpkin surface when we're engraving. But every pumpkin engraves differently depending on the skin. Amy, you're our pumpkin expert. What's different about the skins of the pumpkins? Anything?
Some of them are thicker than others. Probably the toughest squash would be the Hubbard squash. And it is a really delicious squash to bake with and to cook. You almost really have to cut it like with a saw. It's super thick, or you can drop it and break it, but even then, it's a tough squash. It's very delicious, though.
Yeah, and that's something that's fun about pumpkins, too. You can eat them. And this is something that my whole life it never occurred to me. And I think my daughter AJ and I were looking out the window one Halloween, and we noticed the pumpkin that was sitting on the deck had all these bite marks out of it, right? Squirrel just decided it was going to eat the pumpkin. And we're like, you know what? If you can eat them, we should try it. So we went out and grabbed the pumpkin and cut out the bit that the squirrel ate. So we tried butchering it. It was interesting because you can take the internal slime once the seeds are gone, and you can kind of boil that into a mush. But the meat part of the pumpkin was surprising. So we carved it into little strips. We dried it out on a pan, and we were able to use those strips like noodle. We were able to make lasagna with it. It was pretty amazing. So what's the weirdest thing you've made out of a pumpkin in terms of food?
Probably the weirdest thing was we cooked a meal in a pumpkin. That was weird, but it was good. It's different. It's sweet. It's not like a baked potato, so you have to pair it with something, maybe like pork or something. I think we did hamburger in there, and it was all right.
So kind of like when you stuff a green pepper type of a thing?
Right. I'm sure someone else has mastered that.
All right. Stupid question number 2. Is there any difference between the real pumpkin seeds and the pumpkin seeds that you buy in a bag, like the baseball players chew and spit out? And are they all the same pumpkin seeds?
Those are sunflower seeds.
Oh,
Yep, they're different.
I warned you the second stupid question.
There would be the shelled pumpkin seeds, the pepitas, and all of that as well.
Right.
I don't know
So, but
how
they're all
much
the
different those are.
Some
You
of
can
those.
buy pumpkin seeds though and eat them.
And they're the same. They come out of a
They're out
pumpkin.
of a pumpkin.
Right.
Yeah.
Shelling
knew
a
that.
pumpkin
I was
seed
just
is
checking
not
to see.
easy. When I did the noodle thing, we made a lasagna out of pumpkin, and what we did was we took the spaghetti sauce, and I used the pumpkin mush that we'd boiled down in the spaghetti sauce, and then we used the strips in between the layers of lasagna, and we added in a little bit of meat. But I tried shucking all of the pumpkin seeds and then using it as a crumble on the top because I thought that would taste really good, which it did. But it took me hours to break the meats out of those little seeds. They're really hard to work with.
They probably don't all tend well to doing that. There's probably certain seeds that are more plump for that, because a lot of the pumpkins that we carve, the seeds are real flat and not as thick as the ones you would see.
So what kind of foods are you making with pumpkin? I know you just said lasagna, but like what?
Once you have the slush, you know, and this was something that I went through a period where I was being really careful with my carbs. And there's surprising nutritional things about pumpkins. They have like very low carb. So I was like, okay, with AJ, she was a kid, right, of course, and she's not, she doesn't want to try anything. So we took the pumpkin meat, which is kind of, that pale orange as you cut it. And I guess this would be an Amy question. The meats are different sometimes on the pumpkin. Sometimes it shreds almost like a spaghetti, and then sometimes it's more like a melon consistency. Mm-hmm. So we would take the slush, and I would boil it down over like hours, right? And then I might blender it a little bit and continue boiling it. Once you have that, I could add it into my breads. I could add it into muffins. I could use it for various sauces. Now, the meat itself, I tried a bunch of things. So I tried shredding some, and I tried like making out of that meat pumpkin French fries, and they taste amazing. And you can actually shred it down and fry it as well. And it's like Amy, you were saying, it's pretty sweet. It's a very sweet type of a thing. So it almost starts to taste like a sweet potato would. And they're probably similar in terms of families.
I'm not a big pumpkin fan as far as flavor and taste, but one of the best soups I ever had was from Bobby Flay. Had pumpkin soup, and it was just amazing.
Very cool.
Now, one of the things I enjoy in pumpkin fall when it comes around, once in a while you can find them around here where the mechanical engineers have gone out and they have pumpkin chunking contests to see how far they can throw a pumpkin.
Yeah.
And those are amazing when you watch. There's different events around the state, but watching how far they can actually throw a pumpkin with these devices, and they get some good distance out of that thing.
Has Jerry Smith's ever done anything like that? The trebuchet pumpkin launch?
No, we're like landlocked. We have the railroad track to the east of us, a business to the north, and then the roads are south and west. So we have thought about it, but we're sitting on 26 acres and we're stuck.
It would be fun. I think there's 3 different ways now too, right? So there's catapult and trebuchet, which are different machines, and then don't they do air cannons now?
Yeah.
And the air cannons are insane.
It would be awesome. I mean, honestly, it's something we thought of, but
Well, you can collaborate with the Fab Lab when you're ready, right? We'll
Sounds
help.
like
land?
Steve's got
Yeah.
some money in
Oh,
his budget.
yeah.
What about Bong State Park? You can go out there.
oh,
And allow
that's
us to do rocket launches out there, so that would be a very
Really?
similar open concept.
So the Jerry Smith storefront.
yes, sir.
What can I buy if I go to the Jerry Smith storefront?
So we open in June, and we actually have a 40-acre U-pick field, and so we grow eggplant, cucumbers, all of that, and it's usually ready mid-July. And then coming into August, we plant. In the spring, we plant 10,000 tomato plants. So if you're into canning, you can can, and then we move right into fall. Or wait, we're big into sweet corn. We hand pick all our sweet corn by hand, and then from sweet corn we go into pumpkins. So in our store we have cheese popcorn, our famous Pumpkin Farm cookies,
Wow, that's awesome.
and we have hot apple cider, cold apple cider, caramel apples, breads, taffy apples, gourmet taffy apples, jarred goods,
Wow.
pickles, pickled beets. We are selling take and bake frozen pies. Let me see.
What about decorations
Oh,
and
that's
stuff
awesome.
for
Ooh,
outdoor?
yeah.
We do. Yeah, you can always decorate with pumpkins and gourds and stuff like that. And we also have our merchandise. As far as like trinkety stuff, no, we've kind of backed off on that. Just keeping like Indian corn and straw and corn stalks.
Mm-hmm.
We have broom corn, which the sorghum, which it's like 4 feet tall, and it's filled with seeds, and the birds love to eat that.
So one of the things, having been around a long time in the pumpkin industry, have you been amazed at over the last 10 years, the explosion of pumpkin spice into almost everything in society now? Wendy's has a pumpkin spice frosty
Yeah, I
this
saw
fall.
that.
And
So does Culver's has some.
exactly.
Mhm.
But have you seen a huge explosion on all of this in your area as everybody's gotten more pumpkin?
Yes, funny you should say that. 3 years ago, we added a coffee shack, and it's like lattes, cold coffee, iced coffee, and this year we have an apple cider float made with our apple cider and then ice cream, and we can make it a pumpkin float too with sauce or syrup and stuff. So yeah, everybody's into pumpkin spice.
Man,
It's
let's
a
go
thing,
right
and it's
now,
a great
right?
thing.
It's amazing. Now, John, tying us all together now, over at the S.C. Johnson IMET Center, when was this Pumpkin Fest being held?
Okay,
What
so
day?
October 26th, Thursday. We're going to start around 4 o'clock, and we'll run probably till about 7 or 8. Bring a pumpkin, bring your family, bring your pets. I don't care. Come on out, make a pumpkin. There'll be materials out there you can use to decorate. With a little luck, we'll see Amy there from Amy Smith Pumpkin Farms. You know, there's ways to paint. You could throw it on the laser if you have a creative idea. And that's what the Fab Lab's all about, creativity, learning how to use advanced manufacturing to do amazing things. You can contact us at fablab@gtc.edu. IMET Center, again, is on Renaissance Boulevard, 2320. You can always look up stuff about Jerry Smith Pumpkin Farm at
JerrySmithFarm.com. Check out our Facebook and Instagram.
Thanks so much to both of our guests today, Amy Smith of Jerry Smith Pumpkin Farm and Adam Reed of the Fab Lab. For WGTD, I'm your host, Scott Nelson, and thanks for listening.